शम्भुमापतिं सुरगुरुं वन्दे जगत्कारणं वन्दे पन्नगभूषणं शशिधरं वन्दे पशूनां पतिं वन्दे सूर्यशशाङ्कवह्निनयनं वन्दे मुकुन्दप्रियं वन्दे भक्तजन आश्रयं च वरदं वन्दे भक्तजन आश्रयं च वरदं वन्दे शिवं शङ्करं कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः गोविन्दाय नमो नमः नमो नमः. Friends, Sri Krishna, the great deliverer, has descended on the earth as the manifest divinity. There are many stories connected with Sri Krishna. To recite them all, to speak about all of them, one's lifetime is not sufficient. The great sages and saints in this country are unable to describe the glory of Lord Krishna. It is said the 1,000-hooded Adiseshu is unable to describe the greatness of the mighty Lord Sri Krishna. Today, we initially for some time recount the sport of Sri Krishna and then describe the qualities of a devotee, and let us have an analysis of devotion. Sri Krishna is born first initially in the prison house of egoism. He is born in a jail. It means he is born in a body. Body is the prison house. Ahankara is the prison house. The bondage is to be broken. The shackles are to be shattered. The prison house is to be ruined. Man has to outgrow the bondage to become divine. Sri Krishna first is born in the prison house of the jail. The doors of the jail got opened because he is pure. He is a Tyagi. He is a person of no ahankara. Three major qualities. To be divine, one has to be pure. To be divine, one has to be selfless, sacrificing. He must be a Tyagi. He must perform seva. Tyaga and seva are the two eyes of a divine person. Swami Vivekananda recently proclaimed the goals of mankind to be renunciation and service. Renunciation is Tyaga, service is seva. These two are the qualities of a divine person. And Tyaga and seva are not possible unless one is pure. And finally, one will be free from egoism. In the life of Sri Krishna, we find the divinity manifesting, the Daivatvam becoming apparent. It is coming to the surface. Yesterday I tried to describe Sri Rama and Sita and Lakshmana as a single individual. Rama is the soul of the person, Sita is the mind of the person, Lakshmana is the body of the person. Sita, Rama and Lakshmana make this human structure. Sita, the mind, is drawn by the materialism. Sita, the mind, is attracted by that false golden deer. Sita, the mind, is attracted by the pleasure of seeing, and therefore she had to pay the penalty for it. She was separated from the soul. When we are drawn by the world, when we are drawn by the gold, when we are drawn by the pleasures, we lose the soul. She is separated from God. She is separated from the soul. And it was the duty of God to reclaim the lost mind. And she was caught in the prison house of three gunas: Rajasic, Ravana; Tamasic, Kumbhakarna; Satvik, Vibhishana. These three people are living in Lanka. Sita, the mind, is caught in the place, in the prison house of the three gunas. Our minds are caught. And Rama comes, takes that mind back, reclaims. This was the story of Sita, Ram, Lakshman. For that, there was a lot of preparation. The instincts were to be overcome. The first instinct is urge to eat. Second instinct is urge to sleep. The third instinct is urge to procreate. Fourth instinct is urge to have fear. Rama plus Sita plus Lakshmana, the individual, was able to pass in the first three examinations. They were able to conquer the urge to eat, sleep and procreate. But fear was lingering a little. They were unable to score cent% marks. And now we find Sri Krishna completing that lacuna, completing or overcoming that particular fear also. Sri Krishna's purpose is not only to pass the previous three examinations of eating, sleeping and procreating, conquering them the three, but to overcome fear. We find in Sri Krishna's life the conquest of fear. Man can be divine, man can be superhuman if you conquer these four instincts. Sri Krishna, with purity, with tyaga and with ahankara rahitya, conquered the fear. That we see in his life. As soon as he is born, the gates are open. He is free. We are not free because we are caught in gunas. We are caught in ahankara. We are caught in the impurities of the mind like Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. Sri Krishna, on the 6th day of his birth, 6th day was completed. That evening, Putana came to kill Krishna. Putana, the word means impurity. Germs come to kill us. Evils come to kill us. Materialism comes to suffocate us. Pleasures come to ruin us. Putana means impurity. Bahavo jnana tapasa puta madbhavamagata. In Bhagavad Gita you have a statement. Jnana, Tapasya and Puta are essential. Jnana, knowledge. Tapasya, austerity. And Puta means purity. These three are necessary for a man to evolve to great heights. When you put na, no, negative, it becomes impurity. Puta means purity. Puta na means impurity. Impurity comes in various forms. Physical impurity. And physical impurity can be removed by Ganga Jal. Take bath, wash the body, be systematic. So physical purity can be got by taking bath, that is Ganga Jal. Emotional impurities, psychological impurities, moral impurities can be removed by dedicating our mind to the cause of God, Govinda Nama Smarana. The more you chant Ishtadevata Prarthana, maybe Shiva, maybe Vishnu, maybe Krishna, maybe Ram, whatever may be the deity whom you like, you go on chanting his name, and that gives you balance of mind, that gives you purity. When a good song about God is being sung, you forget the world, you forget lust, you forget anger, you forget jealousy. That means mind is getting purified. Physical purity by Ganga Jal, mental, emotional, ethical purity by reciting the name of God in a song form or in a bhajan form, that is emotional purity, Govinda Nama Smarana. Intellectual purity, possessiveness, ahankara, that can be removed by your Gayatri mantra. It sharpens the brain, it illumines the intellect, it brightens your outlook. And intellectual purity by Gayatri, 3 Gas. Physical impurity can be removed by Ganga Jal. Emotional, mental, psychological impurity can be removed by Govinda Nama Smarana. And intellectual impurities can be removed by Gayatri Mantrocharana. When these 3 impurities are removed, the spiritual light brightens. All the Swamijis do this practice of physical sadhana, physical impurity removes, it gets removed, and then emotional, intellectual. Sri Krishna symbolically removed Putana, he killed her. That means impurity is removed. Sri Krishna on the 6th day and night. Why it is the significance of 6th day? Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya are the 6 evils. These are the 6 impurities. These are the 6 defects, stumbling blocks for the shining of the individual, for the divinity of the individual to come to the surface. Therefore, on the 6th day, he was able to conquer the 6 evils. Symbolically, he killed Putana. In the original Bhagavata text, you will be surprised to see Sri Krishna has not killed Putana. Putana has come with poison applied to her chest. There is arsenic applied. She wanted to feed Krishna. Sri Krishna was being given the milk on one side. Both sides she applied arsenic. Sri Krishna, the small boy with the tender nails, here the skin will be very tender, he scratched slightly. The arsenic, the poison which she applied on her skin, entered into her blood and she died. When you want to ruin others, you will be ruined. The impurity kills itself. Sri Krishna is so intelligent that he made her die by her own poison. When we want to hurt others, we will be hurt in turn. Krishna has removed the impurity. Sri Krishna taught a lesson to the world. If you are trying to ruin others, you will be ruined in turn. This was the first lesson. Krishna is a man of purity. For being a divine person, to be a sadhu, to be a sannyasi, to be a sage, to be a Baba, the first and foremost requirement is purity, purity, purity. When you are pure, there will be a positive vibration. In the presence of certain people, you feel like sitting. Certain people, you feel like looking. Certain people, you feel like talking with. It is not because of their physical charm, it is because of their inner purity. In the presence of certain people, we feel the negative vibrations. We feel the impure vibrations. When you find selfish people, when you find lustful people, their eyes are not proper. They don't have the loving look, they have the lustful look. It is not a safe touch, it is a selfish touch. Such people throw us out, they have a negative vibrations. Now, the first test is, are we able to feel the positive vibrations in the place? In that place, if it is clean physically, there will be purity. In certain palaces, purity, physical purity you find, but somehow we don't feel like sitting there. The people connected with the house are negative, possessive, selfish, lustful, etc. And in an ashram, in a simple place of purity, where there is a lot of tapasya, where there is no selfishness, we feel relieved, we feel the peace of mind, we feel that calmness. It is the spiritual, positive, loving vibration that we have it. Sri Krishna's place is like that. The first and foremost requirement. And then Sri Krishna is a great Tyagi. Show me a place where he is possessive. He has given the kingdom to his father, first to his grandfather Sursena Maharaja, next his father. He did not want it. Kamsa, contrary to Krishna, put his father in the prison. Possessive. Sri Krishna restored that kingdom, gave it to his grandfather, after him his father, and when he established Dwaraka Empire, he did not expect himself to be the king. He asked Balarama to be the king of Dwaraka. He never wanted it. In the Mahabharata Yuddha, Kurukshetra Yuddha, if Sri Krishna declares, I am the king of Hastinapura, nobody can say no. He never accepted it, he never wanted it. A good man of self-sacrifice, he gives comfort to the others. He gives happiness to others. He gives wealth to others. He does not own. Sri Krishna is a Tyagi. He is most unselfish. He tried to educate people. He tried to make people happy. He tried to make them noble. That is his speciality. Finally, he has conquered egoism. The evil expression of egoism is fear. First, there are so many expressions. One of them is fear. Earlier, Rama has conquered all the three. Now, Sri Krishna's turn it is to overcome fear. Right from first killing, that is your Shakatasura Samhara, Turnavarta Samhara, Dhenukasura Samhara, Vatsasura. Asura means evil. Each is an evil spirit. All these evil spirits of fear were one by one killed. Right from day one, he went on killing, fear, various expressions. And that fear is embodied in Kamsa. Kamsa is a man of fear. He is afraid of death, and therefore he has become a despot. He has become a tyrant. He has become a cruel dictator. to defend himself, to protect himself, to safeguard himself. A coward becomes a rowdy. He is at heart a timid fellow and he appears to be a bold man. He does not have real courage. He does not have real strength. It is only apparent. That's why in the cinemas we find the rowdies, loafers, gundas being killed by a puny, simple, good, small hero. They are only robust physically. Sri Krishna has killed evil after evil after evil. Finally, you find him killing Kamsa. Kamsa Samhara is killing of fear. One particular incident about Krishna I will say and complete. Spiritually speaking, physically speaking, he is pure, he is unselfish, he is to now conquer Ahankara. Shishupala is the son of Sri Krishna's aunt. Sri Krishna's father is Vasudeva. Vasudeva has many sisters. One sister is Kunti Devi. Another sister is Shishupala's mother, aunt, paternal aunt. Kunti Devi's children are Pandavas. Shishupala is to Krishna as Arjuna is to Krishna. One aunt's son is Arjun, another aunt's son is Shishupala. Arjuna is a friend of Krishna, Shishupala is an enemy of Krishna. How we should see? When Shishupala was born, Shishupala is a character in the Bhagavata and Mahabharata. It's a story, history. Shishupala is born with 3 eyes. When he was born, he was born with 4 hands. Who has 3 eyes in our mythology? Lord Shiva. Trinetra. And the 3rd eye is beautiful on the forehead of Shiva. And the 3rd eye of Shishupala is dirty. It is ugly. It cannot see. It is only a mark on the forehead. Lord Vishnu has 4 hands. They are handsome. They are wonderful. Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma, 4 hands he has. And all the 4 hands are really ornamental. Whereas Shishupala has 2 additional hands simply hanging like paralytic hands. He is dirty. That means Ahankar, Atma. Atma is divine. Ahankar is devilish. Atma is original. Ahankar is imitation. Imitation is not pure. Imitation is not beautiful. Imitation is ugly. Original gold is bright, burnished, wonderful. Imitation gold becomes black soon. Imitation is imitation always. Shishupala is Ahankara, egoism. Sri Krishna is Atma. Shiva is Atma Swarupa. Vishnu is Atma Swarupa. Like Shiva, Shishupala imitates with the 3rd eye. Like Vishnu, Shishupala Ahankara imitates with 4 hands. Now, the mother felt the dirty boy. 2 additional hands hanging. The 3rd eye useless. And as soon as the child is born, she wept. Then astrologers said, Ashariravani said, from the sky a voice was heard, my dear Ma, you keep your son on the lap of every visitor. On the lap of a particular person, the additional eye disappears. Additional hands disappear. That person will be the killer of your son. That's what the prediction is. The mother of Shishupala was carrying that boy. When every guest came, she placed the boy on the lap of everybody. When somebody is born in our house, we keep the baby on the lap of every visitor and every visitor blesses and goes. When Sri Krishna came, the boy was placed on the lap of Sri Krishna. The moment Sri Krishna's lap touched the body of Shishupala, the 3rd eye disappeared. The additional hands disappeared. When light comes, darkness disappears. When knowledge comes, ignorance disappears. When the original comes, the duplicate goes away. When my wife comes, the other dirty woman will leave the house. This is the law of life. In the presence of the divine light, devils cannot live. Sisupala could not continue to imitate. Sri Krishna is Atman. When there are certain pure people, there will be no devils. When there are certain divine people, there will be no evil spirits. When Sri Krishna is present, bad things will not happen, dirty things will not happen. There will be divinity everywhere. And Sisupala is now told that he would die in the hands of Krishna. Mother fell at the feet of Krishna, my dear child, please don't kill my son. Krishna said, Ma, for 100 mistakes, I will not harm your son. I will excuse him. When he commits the complete 100th mistake, I shall kill him. There are so many people criticizing Krishna, he will be smiling. When so many people finding fault with Krishna, he will be smiling. He will not get angry with us. All useless fellows will be talking ill of their God, sun God. He does not bother. He continues to be bright. Generous people, kind-hearted people, magnanimous people, divine people don't get angry with the small scoldings of ordinary street people. Krishna said, for 100 mistakes, I shall not disturb your son. Let him scold as many times. Slowly they both have grown. Sri Krishna has become the great Parthasarathi. He has become the benefactor of the society. He has become the deliverer. And one day, it was the occasion when Krishna was to be given the chief honor in the Rajasuya Yajna performed by Yudhishthira in Indraprastha Mahanagara. Indraprastha is a great city. It was built by Yudhishthira. The chief guest was Krishna. On the last day of the Thanksgiving party, Sri Krishna was given the seat. Who is to be the chief guest in the first discussion? Drona, Bhishma, Ashwadhama, so many great people were present, and the 5 Pandavas with Draupadi went to a corner. They discussed among themselves, so many people have come. Who is to be chosen as the chief guest? Whom are we to thank first? Pandavas and Draupadi decided, Bhishma is our elder person. We shall consult him. Before consult him, we shall put forth our proposal, and that proposal is we choose Krishna to be the chief guest. For the confirmation, Pandavas and Draupadi went to Bhishma. Sir, we have decided, we have proposed, we have almost agreed upon giving the first argya, first thanks, first worship to Krishna. Bhishma said, you are correct. He is the right person. He is the unselfish person. He has been a loving person. He has saved his parents. He has been a deliverer. He is the manifest divinity. Therefore, you are correct, you worship him. And then, Sri Krishna is kept on the throne. His feet were being washed. Just then, Sisupala stood up. Jealousy, anger he has. Who is this Krishna to deserve the first worship? Is he senior in age? There are many seniors. Is he a wise man? There are better scholars. Is he a king? There are greater kings. So many superior people, greater people, better people, wiser people are present in society. On what basis have you chosen this cowherd thief? He has stolen butter. He has looked at the girls, played with the women. He has no character. He has no integrity. He has been a thief. Such a person you are worshipping. Sisupala started quarreling. Krishna was counting. Here I take a minute to explain his theft, Krishna's theft. Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa beautifully explains. He has stolen butter, not gold. He has stolen butter, not money. He has stolen the hearts of people, not their possessions. He won their love because he is pure. They came to him, he never went to them. Girls came, parents came, cowheads came, cats came, rats came, monkeys came, peacocks came, birds came. He was able to attract the entire universe. Why women? Everybody was drawn to him. A magnet attracts every iron piece. It's not the defect with the magnet, it is the attractive quality. A person attracts others because of his endearment. When you love everybody, everybody loves you. It is purity of love, impartiality of love. It is renunciation. It is tyaga, it is divinity. Everybody is drawn to Krishna. It is not his defect. He has not forced anybody. He has not forced Rukmini to be coming with him. Rukmini invited him. Krishna did not kidnap Rukmini. Rukmini wanted Krishna to come. She eloped with him. Kidnap is different. Elopement is different. Rukmini wanted her to be taken away by Krishna. Krishna has not stolen Rukmini. When we describe the character of Krishna, we must be very, very careful in using words. And he has stolen butter. What is the significance? From the milk, you make buttermilk. From the buttermilk, you produce the butter. When the buttermilk is churned, when the milk is churned, when it is churned, butter comes to the surface. Having produced the butter, you try to put that makhan or venna or butter inside the water, it does not get mixed with water. Same butter you put back in milk, it does not get mixed with milk. The same butter you put back in curd, it does not get mixed with curd. Similarly, the butter cannot get mixed with the milk. It has come from the milk, but it does not go back to the milk. Sugar can mix with the water. Butter does not mix with the water. It remains as it is. From the world, the mind is separated, purified mind. From the attachments, the mind is separated with a detachment, and it is purified mind. Once the mind is given to God, once the mind is purified, once the mind is made divine, once the mind is made butter, it does not go back to the world. When once you taste samadhi, you don't think of bodily pleasures. When once you enjoy that divine presence, Nama, Amruta, you cannot think of the worldly pleasures. We have become butter. And that butter is liked by God. That purified mind is liked by God. Okay, when he likes it, why can't he take it? Why should he steal it? I am only to purify the mind, keep my doors open. It is left to him when to enter and make me divine. I am to keep my mind purified. He comes and takes. Common example I give, when you go to the bed, you switch on the AC, you keep the bed comfortable, you close the doors, you lie down on the bed. Sleep is not in your hands. It comes when, I do not know. When you slip into sleep, you are stolen into sleep. What time I have entered into the sleep, I do not know. If you have a watch to press what time you have entered into sleep, if you press that, Watch, you have not slept. If you have slept, you cannot press. Similarly, when we do sadhana, when we do tapasya, when we purify ourselves, we are keeping ourselves ready for God's arrival, for samadhi. When we enter into samadhi, it is not in our hands. When we enter into sleep, we do not know. When God comes and takes us to His world, we do not know. When death comes, we do not know. When sleep comes, we do not know. When God comes, anything that happens without our knowledge is called theft. This is a welcome theft. I want my heart to be stolen by my girlfriend. I want my pure mind to be stolen by God. I want my mind to be lost in sleep. Therefore, Sri Krishna is fond of that butter-like purified mind. He takes it. It is a symbolic significance. Don't take it in the literal sense. He is a rich man. His father has many cows. Plenty of butter is available in his house. Why should he go to somebody's house to steal the butter? It is of spiritual significance. There is a lot of meaning in it. He has not spoiled anybody. He has not disturbed any pure mind. He has only given what they have asked him. And that is not a crime. Sri Krishna, the manifest divinity, has paid so much. Finally, when Shishupala started scolding him, he was counting. How many bad people are criticizing Krishna? He smiles and counts and counts and counts. Shishupala was scolding. Then Bhima got angry. He was so annoyed. He took his mace. He wanted to smash the head of Shishupala. Then Yudhishthira said, no, please keep quiet. Bhima went, Yudhishthira went to Bhishma. What shall we do, sir, now? Then Bhishma says, we have nothing to do now. You have given the question paper. You have written the answers. The answer sheet has gone to the university. What can I do? A paper setter or the examiner has to give the marks. The fruit is in his hands. We have gone to the mattress. We have laid ourselves on the bed. What else are we to do? It is left to sleep, whether to come or not to come. Fruit is not in our hands. Action, effort is in our hands. We have done what we have to do. We have given the throne. We have given the crown. And we have made the first worship. The fellow is criticizing. It is now God's duty to clear the enemy. Nayamatma pravachanena labhyahana medhayana bahuna shrutena. In Kathopanishad, in Mundakopanishad, and in the Bhagavad Gita, Mama Maya Duratyaya, Mam Eva Prapadyante Maya Metam Tarantite. The Maya created by me, the problems created by me, the confusion that you are in, the darkness you are in, you cannot remove until I dart the searchlight, until I give you the light. God says, by His grace, we can overcome the problems. Without His grace, nothing can be done. When God is for us, nobody can harm us. When God is not for us, nobody can save us. Let us try to hold on to His feet, Bhishma says. And Sri Krishna counted mistake after mistake. When all the 100 mistakes are over, he took his Sudarshan Chakra and smashed, killed Shishupala. Ignorance is removed. Andhakara is removed. Enemies are removed. Materialism is destroyed. Egoism is killed. Who are these characters? This is the story I have narrated. 5 Pandavas are the 5 senses. Draupadi is the mind. Draupadi, the pure mind, and the 5 senses of purity are able to see who is real God. When my vision is clear, I can see what is right, what is wrong. When my mind is clear, I can see who is a good man, who is a bad man. which is favorable, which is not favorable. My external vision, my internal vision. External vision with the eyes, internal vision with the mind, and that vibration you will feel. So 5 Pandavas are symbolic of the 5 purified senses. Mind, Draupadi, is the purified mind. When there is purity, we are able to see divinity. They have seen the divinity, and then Buddhi is present in us, intellect is present in us, discrimination is present in us, Vichakshana Jnana is present in us, intellect is present in us, our brain, and that brain is seen in Bhishma. The pure senses and the mind have seen divinity for confirmation, for clarification, for approval, for the rubber stamp. Bhishma ji, my dear brain, are we right? And the brain says, yes, you are right. I have fallen in love with that girl, shall I marry her? You ask the brain. The sweet is given, shall I eat? No, don't eat, you are diabetic. The mind says, Buddhi says, don't think of her physical beauty, she is a dangerous girl, don't marry her. Buddhi says. Similarly, Bhishma is not an individual, he is our intellect, our brain inside, Vichakshana Jnana. So Pandavas are within us as 5 senses, Draupadi is within us as the mind, and purity makes them see the divinity, Lord Krishna. Krishna is also in us as Atma. And Buddhi confirms, yes, Krishna is God. And then, when I am about to see that Atman within me, when I am about to get that Samadhi, then Ahankara comes. When I am a Swami, when I am a Sadhu, when I am a sage, I just am able to enjoy that state of Samadhi. Just then some people come and touch my feet. I am a great man. Ahankara comes. Shishupala stands up. I am fond of the garlands. I am fond of namaskars. I am fond of eulogy. I am fond of appreciation. And when Shishupala comes, Ahankara comes, Krishna has to keep quiet for some time. Ahankara must be removed. Shishupala is a nuisance, and that egoism can be removed by the grace of Lord Krishna. When Shishupala dies, there is modesty, there is purity, there is divinity. Sri Krishna in his life has displayed 3 conquests. Number 1, he has been able to conquer all the impurities. 2, he has been able to give up every possession. He was a man of renunciation. He served the cowherd boys. He served the gopis. He served the villagers. He served his mother and father. He served Devaki and Vasudeva. He served Pandavas. He served the entire society, whoever is good and right. And finally, he killed his egoism. Therefore, Sri Krishna is a saint person, a divine person. As a byproduct, fear is removed. Now, I give the definition of a divinity. A divine person is one who has control over the 4 urges. Urge to eat, urge to procreate, urge to sleep, can touch his feet. Otherwise, don't fall at the feet of every fellow on the street. It is ruinous to us. Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa says, there is a water snake. This water snake is hungry. It has seen a frog. The frog is bulky. It is large. The hungry water snake has caught hold of that frog. The frog is unable to be swallowed by the snake. The snake is unable to leave the frog. The false masters are like the water snake. They want the frogs. They want the devotees. They won't leave the frogs. Frog is not free. Snake is not free. It is troublesome to the snake. It is troublesome to the frog. Let us not fall. Let us fall at the feet of Sri Krishna, a man who has conquered the four urges and who has been pure at every level, who has conquered that egoism, who is a person of tyaga, tyaga, tyaga throughout his character. That Sri Krishna's sport on earth is really wonderful. And only one sport I will describe and proceed to bhakti. One day, he went to a Gopi's house. In that Gopi's house, there is a lot of butter hanging. He went up, he placed his hand, he was about to take the butter, and then the Gopi came, the lady came. Krishna, I have seen you. I am now catching you red-handed. You are stealing butter in my house. Then Krishna says, no, I have not come here to steal butter. In our house, one calf is missing. Calf means the cub of a cow. The calf is missing. I am searching for that calf. I wanted to see whether our calf is available in your pot. Calf is big, pot is small. How can your calf be present in our pot? You silly fellow, you are telling a lie, the lady said. Then Krishna says, Ma, are you not searching for peace in the world? Can the peace be available in this dirty world of physical pleasures? Can you find peace in the rottenness of the ugly world? If you want peace, come out of the world. Let the mind be separated from the pleasures of the body. Let the mind be separated from all attachments to the worldly people. You should search for peace in the place where it is. Go to an ashram, go to a temple, go to a divine place. As long as you are in this world, you cannot think of peace. One after the other, wonderful, wonderful pranks, Leela we have. 1 month also may not be sufficient to describe the glory of Sri Krishna. And now, such Krishna is loved by the Jiva. Peace is loved by us. Pleasures we want for some time. Enjoyments we want for some time. Happiness we want for some time. But later on, we are fed up with eating. We are fed up with seeing. And then we go to a higher one. We want to be loving. We want to be loved. We want a person whom we can love. It is unconditional love. It's not bodily lust. That is divine. And beyond that, you have that jnana, ananda, jnana, amrita, jnana, prema. That is the highest. And last is, I want to be peaceful. Money is a means to pleasure. With money you cannot buy peace. Pleasures may not give us peace. You leave them and you will be peaceful. It is in detachment, in separation from the world, you have the peace. Sri Krishna gives this message. And finally, we can now go to bhakti, pure prema. Bhakti or devotion is three-dimensional. There are certain films. You have three-dimensional films. You keep the glasses. On the screen, if you find grapes, grapes appear as though they are coming close to you. It's a three-dimensional film. Bhakti, for the fullest experience, must have three dimensions. What are those three dimensions of devotion? Three-dimensional devotion. I love God. Mere love is not sufficient. I must do something. And what attitude do I have? One is Parinama Bhakti. Second is Bhavana Bhakti. Third is Anushtana Bhakti. Bhakti means devotion, love, prema. And Parinama Bhakti means from a low level of devotion to the highest level of devotion, it takes you up. It is like a ladder. It will take me to the topmost position. That is Parinama Bhakti. The child becomes the man. Man becomes God. Dvaita becomes Advaita. We merge with each other. We enjoy that supreme Brahmananda. That is the highest state. We try to take from the person. Finally, we begin to give the person. This is the evolution. Parinama Bhakti. Parinama means evolution. It is growing. The child is growing, evolving, evolving. The bud becomes the flower, flower becomes the nut, nut becomes the fruit. That's called evolution. 4 stages: bud, flower, nut, and finally the fruit. And that fruit is at the service of the society. A bhakta is at the service of God, he is at the service of the society. He does not own anything for himself. You take any devotee, whether it is Tyagaraja, Ramadasa, or Tulsidas, or any devotee, they have not lived for themselves, they have lived for the benefit of others. They live in God and they serve the God in mankind. That is every devotee. This is called Parinama Bhakti, first evolution. Next is Bhavana Bhakti. What is the attitude you have towards God? Do you look at God as your father or mother? Do you look at God as your brother or sister? Do you look at God as your friend? Or do you look at God as your master? I don't have any attitude. I look at God as just peace. You look at the vast sky. No attitude. I want only Shanta Bhavana, peace. Vasistha Maharshi has that Shanta Bhavana. Garga Maharshi has that Shanta Bhavana. I want nothing. I want that vast space, infinite beauty, endless charm, that divine blazing spiritual splendor. I live in that infinite Brahmananda, Akhanda, Ananta, Advitiya, Achyuta, Adbhuta, Agrahya, Anirvachaniya. These are the words used to describe that, and that is Shanta Bhavana. In that state, even if you sit for 1 minute or 2 minutes, it's a wonderful, wonderful taste. When you are walking on the road, you have the pleasure of walking. When you go by the scooter, you have the pleasure of sitting on the back. When you go by an AC car, still more. Once you go by the AC car, you don't feel like walking. Similarly, once you enjoy that Shanta Bhavana, peace, calmness, salubrious mind, you will not come back to the world. Adi Shankara did not feel like marrying. Gautama Buddha went in search of that peace. Valmiki Maharshi was able to get that extraordinary happiness. That is abundant happiness. Mirabai was able to find that happiness in the presence of Lord Krishna. All these devotees, they are fed up with the world. They don't want this world. They want to have the higher intensity of happiness, and that is your Bhavana Bhakti. You can have. Vasudeva and Devaki considered God as their child. In certain houses, you find the names given: Balakrishna, Bala Rama, Bala Tripura Sundari, Bala Kameswari. If it is a girl child, we consider her to be divine mother born as a daughter to me. If it is a son, we find Lord Krishna born as a son. I shower all my affection on the son or daughter. I consider God as my son. I consider God as my daughter, and that is called Vatsalya Bhavana. Dasharatha Maharaj has it. Yashoda has it. Devaki has it. Vasudeva has it. This is the attitude. Suppose you love your mother Bharata Mata, our national mother. We consider her as my daughter, and I love her. I shower my affection on her. I serve him or serve her. This is Vatsalya Bhavana. Vatsa means baby. Then Sakhya Bhavana, friend. Arjuna considered Sri Krishna as his friend. Rama is considered to be a friend by Sugriva. This is a Sakhya Bhavana. Sakhya means friendship. And give him all love and affection. You sacrifice your all for him. You give all your goodness to him. You take care of him. This is friendship. And then Anjaneya and Garuda considered the gods to be their masters. They consider Rama to be my Prabhu, Krishna to be my Prabhu, Mother Bharat to be my superior mistress, master. This is the attitude with which we serve. Shanta Bhavana, Vatsalya Bhavana, Sakhya Bhavana, and you also have this attitude of Dasya Bhavana. Dasya means servant. And you have Mathura Bhavana. Every bhavana has a limitation. Vasistha cannot kiss Rama, cannot embrace Rama. There is a distance. The elderly people cannot consider them to be their mistresses, wives or priyas. No, there is a limitation. Rama can sit on the shoulder of Anjaneya. Anjaneya will not sit on the shoulder of Rama. There is a distance of a master and a servant. There is a limitation. Arjuna and Krishna are very close friends, but they cannot kiss each other. They cannot sleep in the same bed. When Rukmini comes, Arjuna has to get out. And when Subhadra comes, Krishna has to get out. Krishna has a place only with Rukmini in his bed. Arjuna has a place only with Subhadra in his bed. Both Arjuna and Krishna, however close they may be, cannot live together, sleep together when their wives are present. There is a limitation. Similarly, Dasharatha Maharaj looks at Ram as his son. He and his wife cannot be close with each other in the presence of the boy or girl. There is a limitation. All the bhavanas have a limitation. But Mathura Bhavana, wherein Radha is not a character available in Bhagavata, for your information. Those who want to read the original Bhagavata written by Vyasa Maharshi, from the first page to the last page, you read every sloka, every stanza, you don't find Radha. Radha is imaginary love. Radha is love embodied. Ideal, unconditional, overflowing love is given a shape in the form of Radha by the poets. You don't find Radha in Bhagavata. All the stories connected with Radha and Krishna are created by us. Radha is not a character. It is love, love, love. What type of love? Unconditional love. Pure love, divine love, spontaneous love, overflowing love, abundant love, infinite love. The fears of love, the tears of love, the possessiveness of love, the sacrifice of love, the nobility of love, the grandeur of love, the glory of love, the splendor of love, the sublimity of love, the spirituality of love. All these things are seen in Radha Krishna. If all these people are criticizing Radha and Krishna, they are all, I am sorry, fools, because Radha is not present. It is only imagination. Ideal love, Adarsham, exemplary love is portrayed. That is Radha. Radha can be a friend of Krishna for some time. Radha can be a servant of Krishna for another time. Radha can play the role of a mother to Krishna, keep Krishna on her lap. And Radha can meditate on Krishna. Radha's head will be on the feet of Krishna. Krishna's head will be on the feet of Radha. Any type of bhavana is possible. That is the sweetest, best, stupendous, wonderful. That Madhura Bhavana is the highest attitude, highest imaginative excellence to a man goes. I live in my dreamland of devotion. It is not practical. It is the ecstatic happiness. It is a transcendental state. It is a samadhi state of sweetness. It is sweet philosophy. It is merging with the infinite God that we find in Radha Krishna love. That attitude is the highest attitude. Even Rukmini has a limitation as a wife. She cannot sit on the shoulders of Krishna. As a Patni, an obedient wife, she sits near the feet of Krishna or sits by the side of Krishna. She does not take the position. Radha Krishna is such close concept of Jiva, Atma merging with each other. Like milk and honey becoming one. Like sugar and water becoming one. That is the Advaita Ananda Anubhuti which a person has to experience. It is not to be explained. After all, happiness we are unable to explain. Sweetness we are unable to explain. Advaita Amrita Anubhuti, the pleasure or the happiness, the bliss which we enjoy in that divine ecstasy, nobody can explain. And that is the highest state Bhagavata gives. When in that sweet embrace of Jiva and Paramatma, Radha and Krishna, world is forgotten, problems are forgotten, anxiety is forgotten, worries are forgotten. They are one with each other. That is Bhavana Bhakti. And next, how do you show it in your actions? You serve Shravanam, Kirtanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Pada Sevanam, Atma Nivedanam. Shravanam, when you love God, when you love your husband, when you love your son, when you love your motherland, you feel like listening about them again and again and again. When somebody comes and tells me about my son's success in America, I am very, 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 very happy. Next, what happened? And next, and next. About the freedom struggle, I love the freedom struggle. I love Mahatma Gandhi. When people tell me the stories of Gandhiji, I feel like listening. Shravanam, Shravanam, Shravanam. When you listen, you forget the world. When you listen, you forget yourself. And that is Brahmananda. Parikshit is listening. Shuka is telling. Shuka is telling the story of Krishna and Parikshit is listening. And he is forgetting. Hunger is not felt. Thirst is not felt. Passage of time is not felt. Body is not felt. And that is an extraordinary state of abundant happiness. Parikshit is taken to that. That's why Bhagavata Katha Shravanam. When you listen to that, you forget the world and your worries. Shravanam. And next, Kirtanam. You praise. Narayana, Narayana, Vittal, 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 Vittal. When you say, my wife. Whenever you praise the glory of your wife or husband or son, you feel like praising more and more. Worldly people don't deserve. God, when you praise, you forget. All emotions are purified. That's why we have Narada Maharshi always praising the glory of Krishna, Narayana, 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 Narayana. When he sings the glory of Narayana, no worries, no thought of marriage, no thought of any position. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vandanam. The entire universe is God. Mother Earth is God, sky is God, sun is God, moon is God, stars are God, snake is God, frog is God, bull is God, peacock is God. Everywhere I find Krishna, 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 and I look at everybody, worship. Every human being is God. Every woman is God. And that divinity is seen everywhere. Krishna is seen everywhere. And I stand prostrate at the feet of everybody. I fall prostrate at the feet of everybody. Motherland is my goddess. My father, Matru Devo Bhava, Pitru Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava, Atidhi Devo Bhava, Sarvam Vishnumayam Jagat, Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. Everything is Rama, everything is Krishna. To that divine state we go. Vandanam, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vandanam. And you do Archana. Your feet. Mother Bharat. You have beautiful rivers, Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati. You have wonderful hills, Himalayas and Vindhyas. You have excellent agricultural lands. You have excellent people. You have yoga. You have Vedas. You have Upanishads. I praise motherland. I look at my wife and praise her. I look at Krishna, adharam madhuram, vadanam madhuram, hasitam madhuram, padam madhuram, panir madhuram, siror madhuram, sarvam madhuram, madhuradhipate akhilam madhuram. Everything is sweet, Krishna, from top to toe, every inch is sweet. My child, I kiss the baby, top to toe. Every part of my son is sweet to me. I love him. Every part of my country is sweet. Swami Vivekananda loved motherland and rolled on the ground and worshipped the motherland with his love. That is the love you have. Archanam we make, Kirtanam we make. In the Mahabharata, you find Sri Krishna going to Bhishma Pitamaha when he was on the bed of arrows. And then during the discourse, Bhishma is trying to explain dharma in Shanti and Anushasana Parvas. Pandavas are sitting and listening. When they were sitting and listening, he was just speaking the glory of Vishnu. At one stage, he started singing the glory Archana, Vishnu Sahasra Nama Archana. The song which you have the record of M.S. Subbulakshmi, that is from Mahabharata, that is from the mouth of Bhishma. He praises Sri Krishna, he praises Vishnu, and that is your Vishnu Sahasranama. And Vishnu is exalted, he is very, 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 very happy. You try to praise a woman, she will be happy. You try to praise a man, he will be happy. It is quite common, and Sri Krishna is very happy. Having listened to the praise offered by Bhishma, Krishna says, Bhishma Pitamaha, you have praised me very, very well. You have made an Archana, Vishnu Sahasranama Archana you have made. I want to hear the glory of Shiva also expressed by you. You make an Archana of Lord Shiva. Then Bhishma says, sorry sir, excuse me, I am not strong enough, I am not intelligent enough, I am not scholar so great as to praise the glory of Shiva. I will be very, very happy, Bhishma says, if you praise the glory of Shiva. In the Mahabharata, it is Lord Krishna who makes Shiva Sahasranama Archana, which we have. Shiva sings the glory of, Krishna sings the glory of Shiva and everybody is happy. Now, Archanam, Kirtanam, Shravanam, Vandanam, Pada Sevanam. Lakshmi Devi is shown as a lady seated near the feet of Lord Vishnu. Pada Sevanam. You make service to your husband. You serve your motherland. You serve your God. And that is your Pada Sevanam. Finally, Atmanivedanam, surrender your all. Please don't tell me anything, tell my wife. Please don't tell me anything, tell my husband. Please don't tell me anything, tell my God. I have no individuality. I have identified myself with the God. I have surrendered my everything at the feet of my Lord. You ask him. Atmanivedanam, that's what Rukmini does. Narada has come and told about Krishna's glory to Jiva. There is a God. There is the motherland. There is a young man. There is a young child. The message is brought by that messenger Narada. And Jiva, the individual, I see, there is Krishna. Then she writes a love letter. She makes an application. She sends a message. Krishna, Dhanyun, Loka Manobhiramun, Kula, Vidya, Rupa, Tarunya, Saujanya, Sri, Bala, Dana, Shaurya, Karuna Samsobhitun. So many qualities you have Krishna with you. You are a Swami. You are easily accessible. You are a person ready to bless everybody. Vatsalya you have. Shri, Kirti, Virya, Aishwarya, Jnana, Vairagya. You are the richest person. You are the young person. You are the handsome person. You are a person of character. You have all the good qualities. I fall in love with you. Who else do I have to marry? With whom else can I live? Where else can I have the affection? I am surrendering myself at your feet. Please come, take me. I am unable to come out of the world. I am unable to extricate myself. I am in the palace of this world. I am in the pleasures of this world. I am in the evils of this world. When I go to the temple to perform Gauri Puja, when I am absorbed in meditation, when I am lost in the devotion of the Almighty, please come and take me away. Away, Ishvara, please come and take me away. Then the God comes, takes away our mind, takes away our jiva, and then the divine marriage takes place. Let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments, says the poet. Marriage is not between bodies. Between bodies, the marriage is lust. Between the minds, the marriage is out of love. Marriage of minds is welcome. Marriage of souls is welcome. Marriage of minds, bodies is the worldly marriage. It is a lustful marriage. Rukmini does not speak of the worldly bodily marriage. Let me be taken away, my mind be taken away. I would like to have a place permanently in your heart. Let me be lost in your love. This is the offer she makes, and that is Atma Nivedanam. I surrender my all. Anyatha sharanannasti tvameva sharanam mama. There is no other person at all. This world has all the pairs of opposites. Enough of this world. Please take me away. This is your Anusthana Bhakti. Anusthana is how you translate your love into action. You praise him, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Pada Sevanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam. With what attitude you do and how you translate into action. Finally, Parinama Bhakti. From the low level, Kamya Bhakti to Nishkama Bhakti. Kamya Prardhana to Nishkama Prardhana. Love for the sake of love. Knowledge for the sake of knowledge. Art for the sake of art. Initially, you want something in return. As you grow higher and higher, you don't seek anything. You go on giving whatever you have. You find Gajendra. To an ordinary man, life is essential. Life is very dear. Prana is most enticing. I don't want to die. I want to live somehow. And therefore, Gajendra is an ordinary man. Don't think it is an elephant. It's an animal quality to live. I will describe how it is a divine quality to transcend life. I will come gradually. Gajendra is an unevolved devotee who is hugging the life, hugging the body. Somehow or other I must live. When that Gajendra, the elephant, is caught in the clutches of the crocodile, when I am caught in sickness, when I am caught in cancer, when I am caught in the diseases, when I am caught in the old age, I pray to God, please save me, please protect me, continue, allow me to live, I cry. Gajendra cried for protection of life. You God, where are you? My life is disappearing. I am almost dying. Please come to my rescue. God comes. When you pray sincerely, I do challenge, God comes to your rescue and you will not. If you repeat, perhaps he will not come to your rescue. Once you ask for loan, he will give. Second time you ask for 10,000 rupees, last time you took it and you have not paid back. Why should I give you again? Last time you prayed and I saved your life. Why do I save again? This is how he will question. Practically speaking, in the Anusthana Bhakti, in the Parinama Bhakti, you want your life to be protected. Having got the life protected, now man's desire is mana. I want my self-respect to be protected. First, my life is to be saved. Having tasted the generosity of God, I want my self-respect to be protected. That is your Draupadi. It is the evolved mind. Gajendra is unevolved mind. Draupadi is evolved mind. That evolved mind says, I don't mind dying. I don't want to be insulted. Body is given so much importance. Self-respect is given so much importance. I am prepared to die, but I am not prepared to lose my self-respect. How many people are committing suicide? Death is dear to them. They are not afraid of death. They are afraid of losing their self-respect. Self-respect is more dear to certain people. That is slightly evolved. Draupadi is saved. Lord God has given his infinite clothes, Akshaya Vastra, and she is protected. Now I find, oh, Lord Krishna, Shiva, my wife, husband, motherland, chief minister, prime minister, they have saved my life. They have saved my self-respect. Why can't I go to the chief minister for a job? Anyhow he is loving. Anyhow he is helping. So Ardharthi. Ardharthi means position seeker, money seeker, comfort seeker, pleasure seeker. Ardha means money. Ardhi means requesting. Ardharthi is a person who wants the pleasures of the body. You find Sudama. Sudama is not a character in Bhagavata. Every individual is a Sudama or a Kuchela. Sudama is his name given by his parents. Kuchela is the name given to him by his friends and others. Chala in Sanskrit means cloth. Suchela means good cloth. Swarna chala means golden cloth. Kanchana chala. Pattu chala, silk chala. That is your pattu cloth, silk sari. Ku means dirty. Putra, Suputra, Kuputra, bad son, good son, son. Kuja, bad born. Ku is a negative word in Sanskrit, as a na is a negative word. Now, chala is a cloth. Kuchala means the man who has put on the dirty clothes. All of us, this cloth is the skin with which we are inside. Our bones, blood, blood vessels, lungs, kidneys are all packed in this white cloth. And this cloth, this skin is torn in 9 places. Near the eyes it is torn, near the ears, near the mouth, near the nose, and near the organs of excreta and etc. 9 places, and all over the body you have the holes. Everything that comes out of the body is dirty. From the eyes it is dirty, from the nose it is dirty, from the ears it is dirty, from the mouth it is dirty, from the body's sweat it is dirty. Therefore it is kuchela. Every person is a kuchela. And this fellow has desire. What is the desire? Infinite desires. God, please give me success in the examination. Granted. Please give me a job. Granted. Please give me a beautiful girl. Granted. Please get me married. Granted. Please give me promotion. Granted. One desire is fulfilled, another desire ready, coming up, cropping up. Infinite are the desires, infinite are the stars. Numberless, boundless, limitless. And this Kuchala has 27 children. 27 are the nakshatras. We have given names, Ashwani, Bharani, Kritika, etc., etc. There are infinite stars, but we have named them 27. Similarly, this Kuchala has 27 children. Limitless desires. And this Kuchala has a friend, and that is God, the rich man. I can approach him. Buddhi, his wife, tells, go to your God, get money. Go to your God, get the job. Go to your friend, get the increment. Go to your friend, get your desires fulfilled. When I find a Swami or a Sadhu, what is it we ask? Sir, please give me money. Please give me success in the business. Please give me palaces. Please give me buildings. Please give me jnana. So far nobody has asked. Every time you go on asking Kuchalas we are, and this Kuchala is from Porbandar. Porbandar is very important for us for Hindus because it is in Porbandar Mahatma Gandhi was born. It is from Porbandar Kuchela has started his journey to Dwaraka of Sri Krishna. And it is in Porbandar Swami Vivekananda was given the idea to go to Chicago by one Mr. Shankara Pandurang. It was a turning point in the life of Vivekananda. It is a turning point for the history of India because Gandhiji was there in Porbandar. It is a turning point in the life of Kuchela. From Porbandar he has gone to Dwaraka, and as a devotee he has started. He is so tired, exhausted. He walked a few feet, fell unconscious. Then Krishna in Dwaraka opened his eyes. My devotee is coming to me. My friend is coming to me. And then he sent his imported car. He sent his helicopter. He sent his Garuda. My friend is coming, bring him. And Garuda came, lifted Kuchela, placed him on his back, flew from Porbandar, dropped him in the portico of Sri Krishna's palace in Dwaraka. Garuda left. Kuchela opened his eyes and asked the people in the street, Sir, 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 how far is Dwaraka? Fool, you are already in Dwaraka. And then, if it is Dwaraka, where is Krishna's palace? Fool, you are in the portico of Krishna's palace. Then where is Krishna? Krishna is already there standing with the outstretched hands to embrace him. My dear friend, think God is with you. The defect lies with us. We don't think of him. We do not want him. We keep him at a distance. He is here in our heart. He is concealed in ignorance. He is concealed in materialism. He is concealed in our pleasure-seeking mind. Open that mind. He is ready to embrace. If you take one step towards God, God takes 100 steps towards us. He is ready. The child is playing with the toys. The moment the child cries, Mummy, Mummy comes, runs to hug the baby. As long as the child is playing with the toys, as long as the man is playing with the girlfriends, God does not come. As long as the man is eating and enjoying the cinemas, God does not come. The child is playing with the toys. When the child says, Mummy, finish, God comes. Hey Krishna, Mukunda, Govinda, Achyuta, Janardana, where are you? Please come to my rescue. Just say a word. He runs, galloping, flying to lift us to the heights of heavenly happiness. That is divinity. Kuchela has made that fervent cry. Krishna has come. Ardharthi. Such a man of great Sausilya, Sri Krishna, has not allowed Kuchela to ask. He knows what I want. Mother knows what the child wants. The child only says, Mummy, that's all. The mother comes with the feeding bottle. The mother takes the baby to her lap, feeds the baby, comforts the baby, takes care of the baby. Similarly, if only we say Krishna, he knows what I want. Whatever is needed by me, he gives. Ardharthi. Gajendra state, next Draupadi state, next Kuchela state. As we are depending for everything, I go on asking him for this, and everywhere he is giving. One day, Arjuna asked Krishna, Krishna, yes, I want my son back. Abhimanyu is dead. Please give him life. Krishna looked. No. In the life of a devotee, there will be disappointments. There will be difficulties. Whatever you ask will not be given by God. The toys playing child weeps, mother comes, gives the feeding bottle, gives everything. Mummy, I want 5,000 rupees. No, I won't give you. I want ice cream. No, your throat is not good, I won't give you. The child asks for ice cream. Mother knows it is dangerous, harmful. She doesn't give. Similarly, more wealth may spoil my wisdom. More worldly pleasures may destroy my peace. Therefore, attachments are to be cut. Kunti Devi is the paternal aunt of Krishna, own atta, father's sister. Vasudeva's sister is Kunti Devi. That Kunti goes to Krishna. My dear Krishna, yes, what do you want, auntie? See, you save my children. Certainly I will protect your children, but not Karna. Please protect him also. No, I won't. Are we closer to Krishna than Kunti Devi? Are we closer to Krishna than Arjun? Krishna has not given birth back to Abhimanyu. He wants Arjuna to be self-reliant. He wants Arjuna to know what is good, what is wrong. He must become a philosopher. Now, Arjuna, should he be faithful to Krishna for not giving Abhimanyu back? Kunti, should she continue to be a devotee when her son is not protected by Krishna? Should the child forget the mother for not giving ice cream or 10,000 rupees? He has given me MA, he has given me PhD, he has given me the principalship, he has given me a handsome, beautiful wife, faithful wife, and he has given me a difficulty. He has not given me reservation in my AC compartment. No, dirty God. Should I be angry? So many favors he has done. List of infinite favors. One disappointment, one difficulty, one shock, it comes in life, and now I am angry with God. Krishna, I am angry with you. Why? Because you have not given my son, because you have not booked my reservation, because you have brought me loss in my business, because there is sickness, because there is old age. I see, go away. He doesn't want. It is left to us. But next morning, he gives me 1 lakh of benefit. Next morning, he gives me 15,000 rupees. Yesterday when I asked, you did not give. Today you are giving. What a wonderful man you are. I am unable to understand your glory. Sometimes you smile, sometimes you frown, sometimes you help, sometimes you give difficulties. I am unable to understand you, man. Should I be faithful to you? Should I be thankful to you? This mimamsa, this confusion we are entering into in the devotion, that is called jignasu. Artha bhakti, weeping, ardharthi bhakti, seeking pleasures, and then when there is a shock or a problem, I become a man of questioning type. That is Uddhava. Krishna, who are you? Are you really a boy? Are you not a god? Why are you playing with my life? Sometimes you smile, sometimes you are frowning, sometimes you help me, sometimes you don't help me. What is your character? I am unable to understand. Why are you playing hide and seek? Mother, sometimes you give me money without my asking. Sometimes even if I beg, you are not giving me. What is this? You are great lady. I am unable to understand you. Tell me who you are. That is a jignasu, knower of truth, pursuit after truth, an inquirer after truth. What are you? What are you? What are you? Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Who am I? Jnana question. Who are you? Bhakti question. Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa asked, Mother, who are you? Where are you? Please reveal unto me. Ramana Maharshi said, who am I? This is Jnana Marga, that is Bhakti Marga. Finally, Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa had the divine darshan. Jignasu Uddhava asks, Sri Krishna has not said, finally, until you show yourself to me, I am not going anywhere. A mother has gone with her child to the temple. On the way, the child asked the mother, Mummy, balloon. She bought and gave. Mummy, ice cream. She bought and gave. All the things that the child is asking, the mother is giving. In the temple, the child is dropped on the floor, kept on the floor. The mother is worshipping. In that crowd, the child is separated, mother is separated. Now the child is searching for God. Mummy, 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 she was looking at every person. One rich man came. My dear child, shall I give you an ice cream? No. What do you want? Mummy. Shall I give you a balloon? No. What do you want? I want mummy. Shall I give you a gold coin? No. I want mummy. That is pure devotion. Krishna, I don't want wealth. Krishna, I don't want pleasure. Krishna, I don't want fame. I don't want anything material. What do you want? I want you, mummy. Nothing else. I want prema, prema, prema. I want your madhura bhavana. I want to embrace you. I want to be with you. I want to identify myself with you. Please show me. That is the ardent prayer Kabir Das has made, Ramadas has made, Sakkubai has made, Mirabai has made, Chaitanya Prabhu has made. The host of devotees, they don't want worldly glory. I want you, the mummy, mummy, mummy. Until mummy comes. And Prahalada wept, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. And he found Krishna everywhere, and that is Jnana Bhakti. Death comes, I don't care. He was given poison, never bothered. He was thrown from the mountain, he never bothered. He was able to see Vishnu in the elephant. He was able to see Vishnu in the fire. He was able to find Vishnu in the snake. Sarvam Vishnumayam Jagat. When you go to that Jnana Bhakti, there is happiness, there is abundant peace, there is Brahmananda. For the elephant, death is dangerous. For Prahalada, death is not frightening. From that low level of Artha Bhakti, we rise to the position of Jnana Bhakti. This is Parinama. Prahalada there, Radha in Madhura Bhavana, Atma Nivedana of Rukmini. When these three things are put together, it is three-dimensional devotion. Bhakti is at its highest in the Bhagavata. Sukha Brahma forgets the world in Tanmayatva, in the transcendental state of extraordinary happiness. He goes on narrating the glory of Krishna, and Parikshit is listening. Both of them have forgotten the world. They have forgotten the bondage of the body. There is Brahmananda. May we all, by the grace of God Almighty, enjoy the divine bliss listening to Bhagavata Katha. I thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to speak of Bhagavata to the Bhaktas of Ullasnagar. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah. Sarve santu niramaya. Sarve bhadrani pasyantu. Ma kaschet dukkha bhag bhavet. Om